Hey everyone, and welcome to Ink Spotlights from Comix Wellspring. This is the series where we shine the spotlight on immensely talented creators who print with us. And today we're joined by Chandler Boarman to talk about his book, his some of his journey, and a little bit more. Welcome to the show, Chandler. How are you? And tell us about your book and everything you've been doing this past year.
Hey, Brandon, it's good to see you. My comic book is called The First Class 5. Now, say what you want about how original the title is, but how original can you be these days? You know what I mean? And if anything, you can consider it an homage because all these characters and the premise, it all comes from something. And past generations had an advantage that we don't. That advantage is they were able to come up with something entirely original. We are admirers. So, yeah, when it comes to my book, this is the first written project that I finished myself. I've had a whole list of projects pretty much ever since I've been writing. This was the first one I finished, and I thought, enough with the theories, enough with the wanting to do it. Let's get something done. And so far, it's been one heck of a ride.
I love it, dude. And honestly, it's a great homage to I love seeing spin-offs of indie creators making superheroes,
Mhm.
It's such a there's so many routes you could take with it, and it's, separating it from the big two, but it's taking what you love and speaking towards it as well. And your book does that so well with what you've started to build up. And I know you have an entire kind of universe planned in your head. Can you tell me about
Yeah.
your future plans with the book and the series?
Okay. So this is going to be a 5-issue story, and the first 3 are fully illustrated. I'm still working on the finalization of 4 and 5, but the story is done. It's completed. It's going to happen. Just need a little bit of extra time. And so this is entirely meant to be a fun filled action adventure, but with some political commentary. Now, no divisiveness, but at the same time, it's a way of saying, what does true unity look like? Because so many people talk about coming together, but these days just feels like everything's so far apart. And this is just a way of saying fighting for a common goal. And that's not just the superheroes, it's the entire world fighting against true evil, something we don't really see. I mean, they complicate it with so many gray areas. Like some people say Thanos did nothing wrong, and I'm thinking, that's a little psycho. Now, I get what some people are saying, but that's still psycho, saying that Thanos did nothing wrong. Like, what?
That there's a
Then
line to be
people are now
crossed
saying
at some point.
that Doctor Strange is the biggest threat to the multiverse. Like, but he's the hero. But he has unlimited capabilities. And I saw What If. I saw the first season. But so, um, but yeah, the timeline. This is not an origin story. This is pretty much them early on at their peak, showing what they're truly capable of. A brand new team of superheroes. They're I didn't want to come up with original powers because, well, you can't unless it gets too complicated, and I'm no science whiz. So I will say about this guy though, I could say I'm the first person and only person outside of the Avatar universe to have a character who can control the 4 elements.
Ooh.
So if this is a big enough hit, I want to go over an entire storyline with a couple of different books that I came up with. He has a love interest. These 2 are technically lovers. These 3, they were friends before they all met up. So it was originally these 3 and these 2. And in the second issue, we kind of go over that without really saying how they all got together. But we say how they got together, how they got their powers, all the way from beginning to end, who passes the mantle, who the bad guys are, and stuff like that. But 2 things that have been writing themselves lately is a Spider-Man crossover and an Avatar: The Last Airbender crossover. Now, I'm trying to think. Both of those crossovers involve this guy, especially in the Avatar universe, considering what he's capable of. Also, because during my cosplay days, I knew a Spider-Man and a Black Cat cosplayer, and I was Captain America, so I was kind of a third wheel in this situation. I'm thinking those experiences could have an influence on this guy being sent against his will to the Spider-Man universe. But I'm thinking, I don't want it to just be about this guy. We got to consider all 5. But should he be sent to the Avatar universe? I'm telling you, I have a story that, and I will say this, I can't mess up as badly as Shyamalan did. So that's one advantage I have.
Oh, it's amazing, dude. That's so exciting. And I love hearing like your ideas and plans for all this stuff too. It keeps like, I'm sure it keeps the momentum going for your writing and your inspiration and your continuing of
Mhm.
everything. And, speaking of which, what got you to start creating in general? What really drew you to start be like, I want to sit down and write this series?
Okay. I gotta say, with a lot of the conventions that have been happening now, let me just say, so I've been nostalgic since 2009, thanks to YouTube. But now it's my generation's time to shine when it comes to nostalgia, that being 90s, 2000s, even 2010s. Um, so not to get too detailed, I remember the first time I wanted to make a video project. It was one of those VHS home videos. I really, really wanted to make a live action Ed, Ed, and Eddie, and I even titled it Ed, Ed, and Eddie Get the Jawbreaker. And then it goes on a little bit. I've always had ideas for telling stories. Like a lot of the stuff I was watching, because I watched so much to the point where it's now at a fault. And but what really lit the spark, I remember it. I was around 11 years old. So around 9, there was a lot of family drama going on. And then as it started to simmer down, I'm thinking, this is boring. All I'm really doing is going to school, then coming home and watching something and having a little bit of social time with the family. But, wounds are still fresh. But I remember it. I was in grandma's basement watching the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, the third one, Jerkinator. And I remember having a dream about all the people at my school having a war with Nerf guns and those battery powered Jeeps. And I'm thinking that is what lit the spark that made me want to write my own stories. And this is the first one I finished. Now, going to public school, especially pre-COVID, the one thing I actually do have some credibility for, it's writing, because we have so many written projects. And I'm thinking, I gotta get this creativity out somehow. And I'm no expert in certain arts. That's one of my regrets. But I know how to write, and I've saved up pretty good amounts that I could pay somebody who is good at writing, and also, hey, give more people opportunities. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. And little by little, you just keep trying to come up with something. And with all the admiration I used to have, like I wrote a 4-episode script for The Big Bang Theory, and I sent it to Warner Brothers. Now, it didn't happen because I don't have an agent, and they say if you don't have an agent, don't send it. But I wrote that script and I sent it to Warner Brothers with the intention of trying to make this something. And after that, I decided, okay, you got to be original. Now, sometimes you just got to wait for the light bulb to pop up. And fortunately, it eventually led to me coming up with something.
Dude, that's great because, at least just completing things, no matter what, and completing something you're passionate and you care about, that matters so much more than honestly where it goes sometimes. Like, that's the hardest thing for the majority of creators, too. And I'm like guilty of that myself, of just like, I need to finish the story. I need to wrap it up. I need to like
Yeah.
get through the work and putting the work in. And it sounds like, you did these practice scripts, you chose from things that you loved and admired. But guess what? That's what taught you how to finish a story. That's what drew you to sit down and do it, that
Mm-hmm.
motivated you. And if that's what does it, dude, that's like the one of the coolest things I've heard. And that's what gets you to now be making your own books, and you kind of understand it in a way because you've digested and analyzed these other shows
Yeah.
that you adore and admire. That's so exciting too, man. That's really, really
I,
admirable of you to do that.
I'm still going to need to, like, let's say this becomes as big as I'm hoping it would be. Because what I tell everybody at the conventions I attend is that my comic could be the next Invincible, but PG. Like, I don't want to sound this way, but I'm not a fan of graphic imagery. Now, do I want it to, like, but then again, I mean, you get stuff like at Door Explorer level. I'm thinking, I'm sorry, this is lame. This is lame. Like the levels that the Batman movies have
Yeah.
gone, levels that some of the earlier Marvel movies,
Mhm.
like, and that, yeah, cool, cool. I mean, we got to have some intensity, we got to have some edginess, but at the same time, do we need to see spleens ripped out? No, no, we don't.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And if
I
anything, that
completely
widens the audience, as in, there are a lot more people who saw the Avengers than there were who saw Deadpool, even though people kind of love Deadpool more. And there's a reason I won't cosplay Deadpool. There's
Mhm.
already enough as is. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I got to do something. Got to do something that most people wouldn't consider. I try to be original. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you want to kind of make it more all ages and have a wider audience because that does limit who you're able to reach out to, and not
Mhm.
everybody's for that, or not everybody's always in the mood. But also, like, you're a creator that's bringing variety to the scope, and like
I,
if
I,
parents or like families or younger kids like are trying to be inspired by comics, yours is one to pick up then, and that's what I love
I,
too. And so you were bringing up conventions. Are conventions the one place we could get a copy of your book right now?
okay, so I'm going to be reiterating something I am saying every time I'm selling a copy. So, right now, the only place to get solid copies is at conventions. However, the first issue is currently available as a PDF on Etsy, specifically so that I can make a Red Notice reference. It's the scene where The Rock first catches Ryan Reynolds at his apartment, and he catches the art that he stole, and he goes, "I got that on Etsy."
That's amazing. That's
That's
so
why
amazing.
I now have it on Etsy. But I'm currently working with a publishing company to try to get both paperback and Kindle available on all the biggest websites. Like I said, delegation. I have a job, and it's more than just a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
So I think I had to delegate so that certain things can be handled more proficiently. I'm still contemplating 100% if I pick the right one, but it's a learning process. Everyone goes through stuff. I'm just trying to not end up like Bob Kane, the guy who created Batman and ended up with nothing because he didn't know entirely certain business practices. So I'm shooting in the dark here, but at the same time, if you want a digital copy, it's available on Etsy, unlimited. And if you want solid copies, just meet me at conventions. You
I
can
love.
follow me on Twitter. That's where I'll be pretty much posting where we intend to go.
Oh, cool. I love that, man. We'll put a link here so that people could come support you and pick up that PDF as well. And digital downloads do so well for creators as well. Go ahead.
On the comment section here, this is my first time using this app.
Yeah, yeah, we'll put it in the description so people could click right there and then head over. And everyone, leave a comment and let us know what you think of the book once you guys check it out as well. We would love to hear from you. Love to hear more from Chandler as well. Dude, this has been an awesome spotlight talking to you and hearing about what you're creating and your goals and visions for everything. And I can't wait to bring you back and talk to you more, especially when your second issue comes out. I'd be so excited to hear more about that. Do you have any conventions lined up before we sign off
Yeah.
today?
So 100%, I'm going to AwesomeCon in DC. I still got to work out certain logistics and I got to earn a little bit more. But we also have WonderCon. They accepted me. And I'm thinking there have been some conventions I didn't hear back from, so I forgot about it. And then all of a sudden, boom. So that's also making me a little on the edge. Did Comic Con 2025, did they accept? Not yet, but if they do, don't be surprised. I'm working on New York Comic Con, and it's pretty much a guarantee I'll be going to Philly next May.
Ooh,
And
exciting.
speaking of which, last time I was at PhillyCon, um, Don Bluth, Gray Delisle, and Butch Hartman, all three of them were there. I wanted to talk to Don Bluth about Anastasia because I have family from Ukraine. And Rasputin, that was a real person. And not only that, the bloodline of my Ukrainian family members, I was told that they were actually connected to the Romanov family. Not Nat Romanov, I'm talking about the real Romanovs. But that's, just stuff that you hear, but it's still very fascinating. And Butch Hartman, despite the controversies we hear about him, especially about autism, I got to tell him I loved Channel Chaser. That's my favorite of his work. But it was the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours that lit the spark that made me want to write my own stories. And I got to tell him that. I gave him a copy. And I remember at one point he was like, "Chandler Boarman, is that you?" I was like, "That's me." And I guess if I may take a little bit extra time, I was nice about the autism thing because if you watch X-Men Last Stand, they go over, or Incredibles, do these heroes want those powers? Sometimes no. And I've seen the troubles of having autism, and I've seen it in other kids with late diagnosis or, well, who didn't go through certain things. But I understand it's not easy. In fact, you know that show, My Gym Partner's a Monkey?
Oh, I've
That
heard of
one
that.
really
Yeah.
stuck with me because I was probably thinking without even realizing it, having high functioning autism in the early 2000s, you might as well be a human boy at an all animal school. And I'm thinking I could feel for Adam Lyon. I mean, like, I get you, brother. We'd be like best friends. Um, but what I told Butch Hartman, respectfully so, he said you can cure autism through prayer, And I wanted to revise that. I wanted to say, no, 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 you can't cure autism through prayer, but it is very important to pray for people with autism, because some of them, like, we can have we can struggle with comprehension, and it can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. Things are better now because autism is more widely known, but at the same time, if we don't verbalize it, you might not be able to tell. He even told me, if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
that's
for that.
it's such a great message that you put out there too, because honestly, like it encourages a lot of people. It brings a lot of awareness out. It lets like people know, like, oh my gosh, like honestly, like people have a weird understanding about it in general. So you're one of those creators who's helping, bringing volumes and speaking about it, but also like in the sense of like creation and achieving your dreams. Like some people feel like it's a restrictive thing, but no, you really push the barriers and you prove that that's possible.
So Rain Man, that one shows certain restrictions, but also certain abilities. Um, Now, again, autism, it's all on a spectrum. I
Mhm.
specifically have what's called Asperger's syndrome, and that's on the higher end. But am I a math savant? No, I'm not. But from what I've been told, you don't want to be a savant. Like, look at how much sleep Elon Musk loses. But there's also the accountant, and I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Ben is my favorite Batman, 100%. I said it. But when he played the accountant, what I really appreciated, especially since I was still in college at the time and not much younger, they showed that autism is more than just being, pardon my French, a pain in the ass. Because I'm very sorry to say, us people with autism, we can be a huge pain in the butt. But at the same time, you got to understand, we don't know what we're doing half the time, especially for those who don't get the good parenting. Now, again, I went through challenges that pushed me to be better and sometimes just learn. You just got to keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, you can invite some trouble. But whatever the case may be, people with autism, I don't want it. It can't just be about them getting the right attention or getting the right support. They also need to know they can do better and they should do better. They share responsibility, because if like because there was this one guy who worked for me with autism, but we didn't know at the time. He screamed in my face that I don't do anything, and I'm sorry. After that, I can't help you because that is extremely rude, and no one is going to tolerate that, whether you're autistic or not. So it's all a matter of, and I guess one of the things about this, if you have to do better, and we can do better. I mean, look at where human beings started out and look at where we are now. Say what you want, people's lives are better than they were hundreds of years ago. And the second issue, for example, he has autism. This character right here, he has autism. It's only verbalized, but at the same time, there's still some chances to get that discussed. Um, and the backstory of this world is kind of like ours, but through a slightly separate timeline. In the second one, we truly go over how we've got here, yet we've been going backwards. So we got to take a step back and go onward.
Love it.
And fun fact, funny coincidence, this is the staple page right here. So you flip right to it, you get to their big catchphrase before the big climax, and we get to see all of their super abilities.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, that's what I've heard another creator planning out their book like that as well, just to make sure that's the first thing that people see when they typically open the book as well, the way it's folded and
Mm-hmm.
stapled. Dude, I love that. I love the awareness you bring. I love your ambition. I love where you're going with all of your projects. Like, this is super exciting to hear, and I can't wait to follow you even more. And I'm sure our audience is going to be very excited to hear more from you and hear more updates as well.
I'm
Uh,
Thank you very much.
of
I will
course.
say one last thing, like my end goal, if I may. So this is my first project, and once I finished all 5 of these, it's pretty much just, what will I finish next? I have a whole bunch of ideas, things just keep popping in my brain, and it's all just a matter of what I finish next. But what I also want to do, I want to write novels and I want to write movie scripts. And considering all the streaming services, all that's going on right now, there's no stopping me. I mean, the only thing would have to stop me is the whole system collapses, which, spoiler, kind of happens here, but in a way, like, it's kind of the whole necessary evil thing, like, break it down to build it back up, but actually better.
Love it, dude. Yeah, I think all of us are going to be really excited to hear about further projects that you're doing, even past this. And we'll definitely be here to support it and announce it with you. Chandler, thank you so much for stepping in the spotlight today. We're so
Thank you
excited for
for
this.
having me.
And I think I'm so excited to bring you back. Thank you so much.